Yeah. Wake up with coffee and sports. Sunrise glow, listen coast to coast. A flow like you know.
Offensively, who made them? Oh, Patrick Mahomes.
Sideline to sideline with plays to show. This network's got the spark.
When you put up 300 yards rushing against someone, that you got your butt whooped.
I feel like I would have liked to see Oregon Ohio State in the semis, not the quarters. So I think some reseeding is probably where I would change. But
they're out of their mind. They're going to do this 3 quarterbacks in a row.
Here's the crazy.
I just can't take it.
Birds keep flying high, fast cheering loud, and one podcast moving through the crowd. Needy boys brawling, no holds barred loud. This wire life never in doubt. Tune into the vibe.
That's my bold prediction for the show. Devin Booker, in the next 3 years, he will be a Houston Rocket.
Because I still think Seth is still at the top of his game. I do. I think he's right there. Who knows? Maybe. Not this year, but one time soon. Why wouldn't we potentially see Seth and Roman?
Tune in the vibe. Morning Reds, good setters. Got me on the mic now, let's spill the tea. Talking courtside dreams from history. Legends on the blacktop now and then. From Will to Steph, we hit it again. Open it chimes in, let's go deep. Young bloods rising, can't skip a beat. Puppy prospects with fire in their eyes. Draft night suckers and hoop dream highs. Wire to wire, bring the heat. Podcast magic can't be beat. Do better, we're go better. We're hoop heads, trendsetters.
What's poppin', y'all? It is your boy, Guard-E3, and welcome to the And One Podcast. Of course, joining me like every week, it is your boy, Mo Better. How you doing, Mo?
Thursday night, and one. We're going to talk some hoops. Can't get better than this. Let's get into it.
No, absolutely. And you know how we all start out, Mo, every week. Underrated player of the week. It can be a player that's underrated in today's game. In the past, it could be a whole team. It could be an executive. Mo, why don't you start? Who is your underrated player of the week this week?
My underrated player of the week, I'm going to go back to the late 80s, early 90s. One of the elite, dominant on-ball defenders in NBA history. His name is Mookie Blaylock. He spent most of his years predominantly with the Atlanta Hawks, led the league in steals multiple times, 6-time All-NBA defender. When people use the word clamp, Mookie Blaylock was a true person that could clamp somebody down. He made people pick up their dribble. That's how an elite on-ball defender he was. So I'm going to give flowers out to the talented, the relentless Mookie Blaylock.
You know what? That's a fantastic one, and I absolutely love that. It's funny because I was going historical too, because I think there's a guy that doesn't get enough love. We talk all about, and I got this idea because my guy Giannis just scored his 20,000th point, so congratulations, Giannis. But then I realized, Mo, I think there's a guy who hit that achievement that doesn't get enough love for how good he was as a scorer. Of course, I'm talking about Antoine Jamison. Absolutely. He's in the 20,000 point club. And, we talk about guys like ISO Joe's in the 20,000 point club. LaMarcus Aldridge got in there. But Antoine was big. He could shoot over the top. He could stretch his range all the way out to the 3-point line. Man, I think people sleep on how good of a scorer Antoine Jamison was. There's a reason that man has 20,000 points.
That's actually a really good one. What I remember about Antoine Jamison was for a 6'10", 6'11" guy, he had a touch game. Like he had a float game too. Like he had touch around the basket. I would describe him offensively as a finesse player. By no means saying that he's soft, but he was just a finesse player. But he was a bucket. I'm with you. I remember him on those, we call them the Wizards, but they were the Bullets for a minute. But yeah, I remember him with Gill, him with Karan Butler. Like those were nice squads. Yeah, Antoine Jameson. It's funny because when you say his name, you knew he could play. You knew he was a bucket, but I would question how many people actually knew he'd scored over 20,000 points.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love I love what he did and what he did throughout his career. And yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize that he, put together, that many points. So, so shout out to Antoine Jameson. What up, Key? Definitely appreciate you tuning in. Gene, I see you tagging followers. I definitely appreciate that.
What's good, Key?
And you know what? Going from the past, Mo, to the future, I got some puppy prospects to look at this week. So, why don't we start in the WNBA? Or, the college level here. Sonia Citron out of Notre Dame. I don't know why I pronounce her last name like that, but that's all right. Listen, projected to go number 3 overall. The only people that are in front of her in a lot of mock drafts, we already went over them, Paige Buckets and Miller. And what can we say about, Sonia? I think she's an absolutely fantastic talent. Little pros and cons breakdown, the stats she's put together this year. I think she's going to be an absolutely fantastic 3-and-D player at the next level. I think she's already shown that. I think this is going to be a girl with an absolutely long career. She's already, not only can she knock down threes, Mo, very quick release too. So she can get that thing off and, some pretty tight coverage. Plays passing lanes well, 2 steals a game. I like her game and the way she plays. I like her longevity. She's not explosive, but I think that kind of helps in the regard as to how she's around the rim. She's a finesse player, so she can get buckets at the rim without needing explosiveness. So, Mo, my puppy prospect I wanted to shine a light on this week, Sonia Citron.
That's a great pick. I think Sonia is going to have a long career in the W as well. I'm with you. I think she's going to be 3-and-D, but I'm going to say 3-and-D with an opportunity to make 1 or 2 all-star teams. Like I see her having a couple of big years around a really solid career. In the bigger picture, she's going to be an impact player because she's the kind of piece that you put alongside the superstars that help you win games. So I think she's going to have a terrific career. I think she's going to have a big impact wherever she goes. Shout out to Sonia. She's a complete basketball player who I think, Brett, is only going to get better at the next level.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing how she does at the next level. At the end of the day, I think in terms of, draft picks, I think she's one of the safer ones in the ways her game's going to age. I think it's going to age perfectly. And I think if you're in a contending team looking for a safe draft pick, she's probably one of the safer picks in this draft if you're looking for a 3-and-D player. Yeah, you definitely judge Jory. Oh, sorry.
No, I like how you put that because that's why I said I could see her in a 10 or 12-year career making 1 or 2 all-star teams because I think she's going to age well. She might be better in the middle or the latter part of her career than she is in the beginning.
No, absolutely. And, again, threw in some good fits, Mystics, Liberty, Sky. Once again, she's just a player that I think you can put her pretty much anywhere, and she's just going to fit very well. Just a very versatile skill set. And then on the men's side, this week's puppy prospect, I don't know what to do with this guy still, Mo. It is Ace Bailey. And, he's tough, right? I have his player comp as Brandon Ingram. But, in all reality, his player comp is probably something closer to Jabari Smith in Houston. This guy is a tough shot maker. And I think that's kind of why, I hesitate to put him in that, Jabari Smith category. Because I think his upside is absolutely insane. But there's one flaw that I just can't get over with him. This guy, he just settles too easily. He does not get to the rim as often. When he gets to the rim, Mo, he's explosive. He can play above the rim if he wants to. But for some reason, as soon as there's even a slight amount of pressure, this is a guy that will stop, pop, and elevate in that mid-range for a tough jumper. I think he's an absolute stud. I think he's got to work on his shot diet. That's my big thing with this guy. I think he has the potential to be one of the best shot makers in the league with the right seasoning. But this guy, I like his game. I love what he's doing. I think he's just got to get to the rim a little more to, truly unlock his full potential.
So if you say Jabari Smith is his comp, that kind of sums it up, because the problem with Jabari Smith in his NBA career, all he does is settle for jump shots. He does not attack the basket at all. He has kind of fallen or put himself into this box where he looks like a lesser version of Michael Porter Jr. And I thought Jabari Smith coming out was going to be a guy that, yes, he's going to take the open jump shots, but he was going to be more effective in the restricted area at attacking the basket. It just hasn't happened. So I hope that this young man doesn't fall down Jabari Smith's path and does mix it up a little bit more, diversify his attack, because it makes him a more valuable player. And I hope he develops into that. And maybe the problem with Jabari Smith is he's kind of gotten lost in the shuffle in Houston because of the other guys on the roster who are constantly have the balls in their hands and they attack and they're a little bit more assertive than he is. Jabari Smith, to me, when I watch him play, Brett, he's kind of got the Andrew Wiggins mentality. And I like Andrew Wiggins, but if you don't have an alpha mentality, if you've got a I'm good with being the second, third, or fourth option mentality, you'll never be a great player.
Yeah, and I think Ace Bailey can absolutely be a great player. I think Gene nailed it. He is a stud. I just need more aggression. I need him to get to the rim more. I need to, because he has great touch. Like, if you watch him, he'll randomly start busting out like floaters, and he has phenomenal touch on his float game. He has phenomenal touch on his jumper, and he's super athletic and explosive. This is a guy who could very well be an elite 3-level scorer eventually. But, he's got to be able to get to all 3 levels in order to make that happen. So my puppy prospect is Ace Bailey. And quite frankly, I'm excited to see what the future holds. This guy, he could be anywhere from role player to I could see a path where he's all NBA. Like, this is a guy who has a very, very high ceiling, but also could just very well be another role player. So
No, I think it's a great call, but we always talk about this. His path, a lot of that's going to depend on where he gets drafted, right? Because if you go to the wrong franchise, the wrong system, the wrong coach, or the playing style, that can affect him in a negative way. So the thing that you said, I feel like you just described Andrew Wiggins. He could be a star. He has all the talent to be a star. And it's not like Andrew Wiggins didn't have multiple seasons where he scored 20 points a game. He was good, but I don't think he ever had that thing in him that was going to push him to be great. And for this young man to take that step, he's got to have that kind of drive to be great. So I hope he's got that dog in him.
No, absolutely. So those are my puppy prospects for the week. I'm going to start posting these on the page so you can take a look at them. And, let me know what you think about these guys and girls. So, Mo, by the way, shout out to our guy Kyle and his Celtics. I would have never guessed, Mo, the only Celtics teammates to ever score over 40 points in the same game, Peyton Pritchard and Derek White yesterday.
Yeah, that was amazing.
I did not see that coming. Like, I know they're both capable of going off, but I did not see that coming at all.
And everything said, it was kind of set up to where you thought Boston might lose. Potentially. Tatum was out. And look, I always talk about the Celtics depth. I'm a huge Derek White fan. Peyton Pritchard has come up and become one of the more valuable 6-man in the league. And he's done that through Joe Mazzulla. Joe Mazzulla pulled Peyton Pritchard up and said, he's watched the film on him, and all he did before he got there, or when he was an assistant, was he would pass the ball. He wouldn't shoot the ball. And he said, I don't care if you miss 8 shots, take 10 shots, take 12 shots, but stay aggressive. And I think he empowered Peyton Pritchard to play with confidence, to play freely, and he unlocked him. Him hitting 10 threes, it's impressive, it's shocking, but for him to hit 10 and Derek White to hit 9, that's insane.
Yeah, it almost went to show why the Celtics are still the team to beat. Like, they just have role players that can go nuclear at any point, just to such a higher degree than other teams. Like, the shot making on the Boston Celtics is just absolutely insane. And I think that's almost a separator between them and other teams, right? You have a lot of teams that can play defense and shoot the three, but not everybody has guys like Pritchard coming off the bench and the level of shot making that Boston does.
Yeah. Look, how many everybody in their starting 5 can shoot the three effectively. And then you bring in Pritchard off the bench and he shoots the three at an elite level as well. They're just deep. Even the 2 bigs that are now in the rotation more, they give them valuable minutes too. So like I said, I get why everybody's high on Cleveland. I do. But we don't crown champions in the regular season. We crown them in June. So we'll see.
Speaking of Cleveland, Mo, I want to get your, because I think I finally got, my order down on right now, Coach of the Year candidates. And I wanted to get your opinion on my list. I think, right now, I think the runner has to be Kenny Atkinson. I think it's tough to vote anybody against Kenny Atkinson, but, there's guys like, Dagnut, JJ Redick, and I was talking about this with Mike earlier. I think number 2, and this is the part I wanted to ask you about, is number 2 in the Coach of the Year race so far just JB Bickerstaff?
There's the one. Yes. He should, we always talk about this person should be in the conversation. The coach of a team that won 14 games last year, I think they're at 35 or 36 wins this year. How could he not be in the conversation? Are the Pistons 5th or 6th in the East? Like they're right there, and they actually have an opportunity to move up a little bit. This is all on Bickerstaff, the culture, the playing style, and I want to point out another thing. Last year, the Pistons, that same Pistons team, they were 26th in defense. They're 9th this year. They're competing on defense, and that's saying something when the core of your team is 23 years old and under.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And then I think right after JB, I think you can go whichever direction you want, right? Do you want to go Mark Dagnut, JJ Redick, or JJ Redick, Mark Dagnut? But I do think those guys are 3 and 4. Another guy, right? I think they're very interchangeable. And right now, I'll show JJ some extra love. What he's doing as a first-year coach is impressive. So I'll put JJ at 3, Dagnut at 4. Another guy I want. Hey,
I'm only saying because he's a first-year coach, but he's coaching LeBron James. He was coaching LeBron and Anthony Davis. Now he's coaching LeBron James and Luka. Like I'm not downplaying his impact, but you're playing with 2 of the greater scorers in the NBA over the last 8-9 years. Like that's got a lot to do with them. Like I don't like. I'm gonna give him credit for what he's done. I'm more impressed with what they've done on the defensive side of the floor the last 6 weeks or so, and I think he's deserving. But I would say that we kind of underrate the job that's being done in Oklahoma City because we go, well, they got this guy and they got that. Well, they don't have they have one superstar. They have one superstar and a bunch of really good players. The Lakers had 2 superstars, traded one for an even better superstar. I'm just saying.
No, that's fair. It's weird with the Lakers because I see what you're saying, and then part of me goes, well, these are the same 2 guys they've had the last couple of years, and they could barely crack the play in most of those years. So it's a weird, like,
So you agree the difference is Luca, right? Like, aren't what are they 11-2 with Luca? Like, has a lot to do with Luca, right?
yeah, no, that's fair. Like I said, I can go either way with that one. It like I said, it's just weird to see that. Like, even before the Luca trade, though, like that guy he was already at 30 wins when past coaches, more experienced coaches, are barely hitting 20 with the same roster over the last 2 or 3 years. So, like, I can see the argument going either way. I'm cool with Dagnut at 3, JJ
No,
at 4.
but that's why we do that. That's why we do N one, because we agree most of the time, but we go back and forth. Look,
Oh, yeah.
JJ's doing a great job, but it's not like Darvin Ham was coaching he was coaching LeBron and Luca. He didn't have that. I think what the Lakers did, they didn't trick anybody. So I want to remind everybody, this wasn't the Lakers being the most clever front office in the NBA and doing some kind of voodoo on the Mavericks. And they tricked the Mavericks. They fleeced them. They got Luka. That's not what happened. Dallas literally fleeced themselves. You don't never see this done before. They fleeced themselves. They went out and set themselves up for failure. They did. And so when you go, you got to give Jeannie Buss and the only thing Rob Pelinka did right, he answered the phone and he said yes.
Yeah, no, I'll give him a little bit of credit if the rumors were true that he was able to somehow talk Nico down, but that whole trade just had more to do with Nico being just dumb and inexperienced than Rob.
Maybe he's the biggest reason why the Lakers are better. It's Nico.
Listen, I jokingly said in a Discord that maybe this is the start of the Nico Harrison heel turn. He's going to join the Lakers next year and hug Luka.
The heel turn.
It's going to be It's going to be bigger than John Cena this past Tuesday.
So Nico in this scenario is Cena.
Say, yeah, man. Listen, him and Luka were in it together. No, by the way, I'm kidding. They clearly weren't.
Right. No, look, JJ Redick, I want to give him all the credit in the world for what he's done for them defensively. He is the head coach of the Lakers. They are now number 2 in the West. So I am not trying to take any shine from him. I think though we forget what's happened in OKC because they were really good last year. And all I'm saying is they were really good under that coach. And there's not a drop off. They came back with the same core and added some veteran pieces around them. And they're that much better. That's all I'm saying. And by the way, while I'm giving them their flowers at the same time, I want to be consistent. I still don't think Oklahoma City's coming out the West.
You know what? It's kind of funny though. It may be, like sometimes your predecessor can be so bad you just look like 20 times better. Maybe this is just kind of like after watching, Darvin Ham for like the better part of like last year. That you look at JJ, it's just like night and day, man. Did you see that Patrick Beverly took a shot at him?
Oh, really?
They somebody tweeted on Twitter that Darvin Ham would have said Luka's still too fat and benched him for Patrick Beverly if he was on the team last year. Then Patrick Beverly tweeted and said, haha, LOL. That's messed up, but true.
Oh, wow. Look, all I know is it's not a glowing endorsement of you when your star player is on a podcast with a guy who could potentially take your job, and they're both talking about basketball and they're talking about different sets and things that don't happen with the Lakers. Like, that's not a good look or a great endorsement of your knowledge of basketball.
No, that's absolutely fair enough. And somebody else that I want to give love, and Mo, I'm not talking about he needs to be in the actual voting, but I'd love to see an honorable mention, like a random vote thrown his way or two. How about the job Jordi Fernandez is doing in Brooklyn? I know it looks weird, like, oh, they only won 20 games. You saw that roster before the year started. That team should be nowhere near where they are right now. Jordy's a guy that has them competing every night. They look like they're fighting for their lives. I think that Jordy's going to be that guy that's going to fall through the cracks, but I wanted to, give him his flowers as, how great I think he's doing with that Brooklyn Nets team.
I agree with you 1,000%. I do watch quite a few Nets games, and what I can tell you is that group of guys, they play hard. If you go in, I don't care who you are, and you half ass it with the Nets, you might end up with an L. They do compete hard, they play hard, and they're not the most talented squad. That's about their coach because they play with the same attitude that he puts out there. So yeah, he deserves his flowers very much. Look, shout out to him and his entire coaching staff for having his guys come to compete every night.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, I love what he's doing. I don't think he'll be in the voting, but give that man a last place vote or two if you got an extra one to spare. By the way, speaking of voting, one of the voters, Big Perk,
Oh Lord.
he released his best point guards in the NBA list, Mo. I don't know if you saw this, but if you didn't, this is going to be great because then I can get your reaction to this.
Wait, before you tell me the list, let me see. He's probably got Rondo on there, right? I'm only playing because he always says Rondo no matter what when he's not playing. But okay, go ahead, hit me with it.
All right. At number 1, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
He's really. I know he plays point officially, but if you watch OKC play, he's not a point guard. I'm just saying, if people are gonna say Steph's not a point guard, Shai's not a point guard. But if we're gonna say that he's the best player at the position, you got me. I agree.
Number 2, and this one's hilarious to me. I'm sorry, Jalen Brunson.
I like Jalen Brunson. I think he's the ultimate overachiever. He definitely deserves some love at this position, but I wouldn't have him second.
That's what I was thinking too. Number 3, Steph Curry.
I think Steph's having a really good season. Not a great season, but a really good season.
Number 4, the guy who should be ahead of both of them, Luka Doncic.
There it is. I got another one who should be ahead of them. He's probably not on the list. Cade Cunningham.
He actually has Cade at 5.
Cade should be ahead of both of them, but yeah.
Actually,
I would actually, as an overall player right now today, I'm not saying he has the same impact because impact precedes just being the overall player, but Cade's actually a better overall player than Luka is because Cade plays defense consistently.
Saying I thought that list was interesting. And first thing looking at this, I'm like, how is Luka 4th? There's just no way that's happening in the year 2025. 2 names I want to throw in the honorable mention that I think could be in consideration for that 5 spot. By the way, my guy, Tyrese Halliburton has picked it up and balling since the turn of the new year, averaging 18 and 9. He's looking closer to the Tyrese Halliburton we saw last year before the injury. But the real name I wanted to bring up that I think could compete for the 6th spot for point guards, give me Darius Garland. That man is having an absolutely terrific year, and he's given Cleveland everything that they need, an efficient playmaker that can operate off of Donovan Mitchell. I think that when we're talking about the best point guards in the NBA this year, I think when we're talking top 5, I'm more than okay with Cade being 5, but I do think that Darius Garland does have an argument, to be in that top 5 or 6. So
let's establish something. Let's not water down what we do at N1, because I trust our basketball knowledge over Perks. So you don't have to say you could say Cade. Cade is better. I'm good with you. Want to put Shai at 1? I'm good. You can flip flop Cade and Luka. I would have Cade 2, but if you got Luka 2, that's not crazy. Then Cade. But you're right. How do you not, when you go top 5 point guards, how do you not have Darius Garland in there? Like, he's been an all-star before. He was an all-star again, but I love what Donovan Mitchell did this offseason as a show of maturity and leadership. He empowered Darius Garland to not have to look over his shoulder, right? He empowered Darius Garland. Be more aggressive. Be Darius Garland. Like the best version of you will make me better, will make us better. Darius Garland's efficient shooter, efficient playmaker, and he's an underrated defender.
Yeah, no, Absolutely. And that's somebody that I think just gets lost in these conversations in general. Like, listen, I like Steph and he's had some really nice nice run lately, but I think consistently if we're talking about just the 2024-2025 season, this might be a hot take to some, but I think Garland's been better.
So I like the way you said that. You're not saying Darius Garland on a whole is better than Steph Curry. You're saying this season, and I agree with you 100%. We can't let our fandom overrule our common sense or over what we've seen. If you go in the overall sense of this season, Darius Garland has been more impactful than Steph has. Steph has been terrific as of late. But before, I mean, if you saw his shooting splits, that they were not very Steph Curry like. They've come up a lot since then. But no, I'm with you. If we're just living in this season, Darius Garland should get a lot more shine than he's been getting.
No, absolutely. Just also, like, I know I bring him up a lot, but he deserves it. Evan Mobley could very well get that DPOY and just his improvement overall too. But just credit to Cleveland. You can tell they all just put their nose down and just worked really hard in the offseason, just paying absolute dividends so far this year. And Garland and Mobley's big leaps this year, big reasons why. So
let me ask you this, partner. Let me ask you this. Do you think it's Evan Mobley's DPOY to lose, or is there somebody out there who's having as good a year defensively that you think could beat him outright? Like, I feel like they're not going to give it to Rudy because they're just sick of voting for Rudy, right? Like it's the voter fatigue thing. Not to mention Minnesota's defense overall has taken a pretty big drop from the previous seasons, but that's not on him. I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Julius Randle he's not a good defender. He's not a plus defender, and I think it's impacted all their rotations. You have to be able to play in space, show, recover, and that's all about effort on the defensive end, something Julius Randle's not known for. So I digress, though. Do you think anybody else could win DPOY other than Mobley? Because obviously we thought Wemby was a shoo-in before the injury.
I think it's a 3-person race. The third person I will say is a guard, so I'm going to put them third because that's just normally how voting works, right? Guards kind of get the shorter end of the stick a lot of the times, but I think you have to consider Dyson Daniels here. He's been an absolutely disruptive playmaker on the defensive side of the ball. Now, I do think that just Atlanta still not having an overall great defense is going to hurt him here, so I don't think he wins it, but he's my honorable mention. I do think Dyson Daniels deserves love, but I do think in all reality, it's a 2-person race. I think it's either Mobley or it's Jaren Jackson. Jaren Jackson's been returned to his, more rightful spot at power forward, thanks to Zach Edey, and he's thriving. He's right back to being that weak side help protector that he's been all of his career, what he's best at. You're not tasking him with grabbing all of the rebounds, which is, you're covering up his weaknesses and showing the strengths. And I think that this year, he's been so impactful to a point. It's going to be close, but I think it's either him or Mobley for DPOY.
I think that's a good choice. I have him right behind Mobley. They're very similar in that they're both terrific from the weak side. But I think Mobley's a little bit better because I think he plays in space better. I also think he's terrific at showing and recovering. And something that we forget about a lot when it comes to defense is ending possessions, meaning securing the basketball. Evan Mobley is a much better rebounder than Jaren Jackson. Like as talented as Jaren Jackson is, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, I'm pretty sure he only averages like 6 or 7 rebounds a game.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd go Evan Mobley too. I think that would be absolutely fantastic for him. And honestly, if you're the Grizzlies, you love seeing your guys get rewarded, but being, a smaller market with not, that much money to spend, if you're the Grizzlies, are you kind of like, go Evan, come on. Don't make us pay this guy the Supermax, please.
That's a really good point. I didn't even think about that, but look, they would never say that, right? They would never say that because they'd be like, we want Jaren to get every accolade and all NBA, all those things. They want all those things for him, and yet they secretly don't, because I'm sure him and his agent are going to be like, I just made All NBA and I just won DPOY, all defensive. I mean, he's going to clear most of the gauntlets. Yeah, they're definitely secretly going, please, Evan, you can do this. Like, yes, yeah. The scary part is, though, this might be a hot take. I think when all are healthy, Jaren Jackson he's the Grizzlies' best player. He is. He don't have the flash, and he's not going to make a whole lot of highlight reels, but he's their best player. And I would say that if, even in that small market, they say, well, we can't pay everybody, all I'm going to say is this: they're not going to trade Jaren Jackson, and I'll leave it at that.
You know what's funny to me? That's not that hot of a take, because I was about to follow it up with, even if he doesn't win DPOI, there's a really good chance he makes All NBA anyway with how he's playing. So I think Jaren Jackson has been so impactful this year. He could be headed toward a Supermax without the DPOY. I think you can make an argument that he's been one of the 15 best players in the league this year.
I think small market teams, Brett, when they have guys who we consider all-stars. I know there was a time when they wanted John Morant to be on track to be a superstar. I don't think John Morant is a superstar, or at least he hasn't played like one ever since he got into trouble and whatever. But he's come back. He's been good this year, and I think somebody pointed it out, and we all see this. He doesn't attack the basket the way he normally did. He doesn't, he's not constantly in attack mode, and he's settling more for jump shots. And he's not a good three-point shooter. Anytime you're playing the Grizzlies and John Morant is from behind the arc, you're already running for the rebound. I just think that I've said this before, and I hope I'm wrong. I just hope he does not go down the Steve Francis path. And I do think that when you're a small market team and money becomes a thing, right? You have to make a tough decision. John Morant's the most beloved player in that roster by far. It's not even a competition. He might be one of the most beloved Grizzlies already. And yet, for business reasons, he might not finish his career a Grizzly. It wouldn't shock me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, I think the real only people try to push back and be like, oh, look at the points per game. Let me remind you that the leading scorer or your best scorer isn't always your best player. Those are not the same thing.
This is true. Look, I'm a John Morant fan. I'm rooting for him to get back to that level where he was kind of feared. And maybe it's one of those things where they don't talk about it. Is he truly 100% healthy? I don't know. I just know he doesn't look quite the same. And if John Morant is not attacking the airways and striking fear into you, or getting downhill and even shooting floaters, he's not John Morant.
No, absolutely. By the way, did you hear who's getting inducted into the Orlando Magic Hall of Fame? It would be it's the one and only Mr. Taiwan himself, Dwight Howard.
What? D12 getting some love, is he? Okay.
Yeah. No, and, at the end of the day, with him trying to recruit everybody and their mother to come to Taiwan to play basketball with him, everybody kind of, it almost feels like just how dominant D12 gets lost in the shuffle sometimes. Because, remember his beef with Kobe. You remember he came back and redeemed himself to win a title in 2020. But that man was a Hall of Famer before he even went to the Lakers the first time, with how dominant he was defensively in Orlando. So, honestly, my reaction was, what took you so long?
I love it. I'm with you. He had a Hall of Fame career just off of the strength of his career with the Mavs. If you go back and look at what he did with the Magic, the strength, just think about that. DPOY multiple times, great rim protector, averaging around 20 plus a game. I think he was an 8-time All-Star, 7 or 8-time All-Star, just a dominant run. And it wasn't that he was a bad player in other stops. It just seemed like he was mismatched. Him and Kobe were never going to be good teammates, because let's keep it a buck. Even though they like to troll each other, the way he approaches the game is very similar to the way Shaq approaches the game. And that drives a guy like Kobe crazy. Kobe wants basketball to be everything and everything be about basketball, and Shaq wasn't like that. And Dwight wasn't like that. And that a guy like Kobe Bryant is not gonna. I remember this when the Lakers were trying to re-sign Dwight Howard, and they wanted to make their big pitch. They did the movie thing where they made a thing about Dwight going forward in the future with the Lakers. Everybody in the room was wearing a tuxedo. They really made a big production of it. And in comes Kobe, shorts, t-shirt, sandals with shades on. That's how much he cared whether or not Dwight Howard got re-signed.
Yeah, it feels like the real, kind of ironically, I was about to use the term backbreaker for Dwight, which kind of makes sense because he was just really never the same after his back surgery. He unfortunately, after, I think it was right before his stint in LA, he had to have that back surgery, and he never really was the same player after. He was still productive, like
he was.
The wash version of Dwight was still getting like 18 and 12 in Houston, and even went to Charlotte and had like a 30-30 game.
I think he struggled too because it seemed like after one injury there was another injury. He constantly I think he tore his labrum multiple times the last 3 or 4 seasons of his career. Like it's just one of those things that kept laboring and getting worse. We forget about how great a player he was because when he was supposed to be the man, he wasn't quite what he was. But like you said, the numbers and the productivity were there. But it was just I wouldn't say it was a disappointing end because like you said, he was able to come back, change his role, and reinvent himself as just a rim protector / rebounder with the Lakers in a different role. And he won a championship. And he didn't win a championship like, well, Dwight just sat on the bench and won. No, he was a vital part of them winning that championship.
No, absolutely. So, congratulations to D12. He absolutely, like I said, honestly, he should have been inducted into this years ago, but congratulations to D12 for getting inducted into the Hall of Fame. Now, there's a statement made, and I'm sure you saw this one, Mo, and this one kind of bothered me. Charles Barkley said the Lakers are saving the NBA. And to me, that's kind of absurd, right? Because my question is, like, what are they saving the NBA from? It's not like the NBA all of a sudden got better because the Lakers got Luka. Like, it's not like they saved it from mediocrity. It's almost like this, Mo, and this is my problem with that statement. It's almost like Chuck was thankful that, this whole Luka to the Lakers thing happened because let's say it doesn't, LeBron leaves and the Lakers, kind of go into mediocrity for a while. Oh no, they might accidentally have to cover some other small market teams. They might not have enough to talk about the big market teams for an hour. Like, I don't understand the statement because it feels like he's just nervous that, like, oh no, we might actually have to cover like the Minnesota Timberwolves and not the Lakers. Like, I didn't like that statement, and I thought it was kind of stupid.
And that was Charles Barkley?
Yeah, Chuck said that. And it's ironic because then he turns around and says the Thunder and Cavs don't get enough credit. It's like, yeah, right. Well, you just told us like an hour ago that, the Lakers have to save the NBA. Well, you just downplayed everybody else in the NBA and not excluding the Lakers. And now these other teams aren't getting enough credit. Yeah, because we have morons at ESPN who could be educating us and talking about the NBA. No, we got Stephen A. and Kai Cenat doing a LeBron versus Jordan debate in the Big 2025. Like, dude, guess what? One, the LeBron versus Jordan debate's tiresome online. Bringing it onto like ESPN, come on, man. That's a wash topic, dog. That's Kevin Garnett and Brooklyn wash. Like it's done.
Oh, Kevin Garnett and Brooklyn wash. That's kind of harsh, but yeah, harsh but true. Look, I will say this: the LeBron Jordan argument. I would say you would think it's tired. All I know, and I don't know how it is for you, but all I know, every time I go on TikTok and you see somebody doing a basketball live, what is it? Jordan clears LeBron or LeBron clears Jordan. Today I saw one that was connected to the argument because this one was alive that said Pippen is actually better than Jordan, and this is the reason why. And clearly we all know that was probably Pippen's burner account, but nonetheless, look, no, the Lakers aren't saving the NBA. The Luka and LeBron becoming a tandem has made the NBA more intriguing, but I don't think they're saving the NBA. I've made this argument before. I'm on the side that it's in good hands right now. I've made the argument that the fact that 3 surefire Hall of Famers, 3 elite players that are still playing on a high level is a good thing. But then you also have guys like Joker and Giannis who are still in their prime, playing at an incredibly high levels, and that's a great thing. And then you've got SGA, and you've got Luka, and you've got Ant. The league is in great hands. You've got guys like Tyrese Maxey coming up. Wemby's going to be back. Like, I'm fine with the league. I don't think the league needs saving. I just think that pairing makes it more intriguing. And the way they've played have made it more intriguing. But if you love basketball, if you're a true basketball fan, you didn't stop watching. I know I didn't. I know you didn't. So I disagree with the notion that it's saved. Charles is really good at saying over the top stuff. I'm shocked that Shaq didn't co-sign and go, yeah. You know, he doesn't say a lot, but there's a lot of mumbling. 28-12. I just disagree with that. That's insane.
I think Shaq was too busy writing his next diss on Dwight Howard.
He does really put a lot of time in it. You know what I mean? Like I actually think he's got ghostwriters.
No, absolutely. I'm convinced that's just like all he does. Like, he's got ghostwriters. He's just texting all of his friends on how Dwight Howard's a bum. Like, I feel like that's just what this man lives and breathes to do. Like, he just goes through every center and just insults them all day long to prepare for inside the NBA.
Right. You can tell Shaq coming up, huge bully. Huge bully. Shaq is just who he is. He's petty. Great all-time player, but he has no problem punching down.
Right. No, absolutely. And I still will never understand that about Shaq. Like, dog, you had a Hall of Fame career. You're argued as the most dominant center in NBA history. Like,
bar none. Bar none.
Right. Like, let it go, Shaq. Like, just let your beef with just literally any center born go. Like, other centers can thrive without, back to the basket and trying to play like you did. And it's almost like that's the problem. He wants players to play like he did. But the problem is you can't replicate what Shaq did.
You can't.
Like, he was just one of one. And it's like he fails to realize that. Like, oh, just put him under the basket like Shaq. Not everybody can just put him under the basket like you did.
And Joker's got to be Joker, right? So Joker's just not going to overpower you with sheer strength and incredible freakish athleticism. He's going to do it with his skill, with his footwork. Here's what I would say. The flip side of that is if you told Shaq be Joker, he can't be Joker. If you know this, I know. If Shaq's taking 15-foot jump shots, we're not just beating the Lakers, we're blowing them out.
Yeah, no, you're making dinner reservations by halftime if he's shooting 15-foot jumpers.
If he's trying to be skilled and shoot 15-foot jumpers and 12-foot floaters, we're blowing the Lakers out.
And I saw an interesting stat, Mo, and I wanted to get your reaction to it. We talked a lot about because it's about the Orlando Magic, so I thought this was perfect timing. Yeah, they are shooting 30.7% from three, Mo, a mark that in the last decade or so that is only matched in poorness by Elite Company. And by Elite Company, I mean it's the 2012 to 2013 Minnesota Timberwolves.
Wow. Who
shot 30.5% from deep. I don't know what to think about this Magic squad right now because on one hand, it's probably just a rhythm thing. You know, everybody's been hurt at different times of the year. It's just impossible to get into a rhythm. But then also, like, there's just a lot of times you watch them and they're just wide open and they're just not hitting. So I'm just not sure what to make of this Magic shooting right now.
It's frustrating if you watch them play, because last season going into the playoffs, what did we say the Magic biggest weakness was? They didn't have a lot of perimeter shooting. They didn't. They're not a great shooting team. And they went out and they thought, let's address that. Let's get some floor spacing. And they bring in KCP. And I think that's great. KCP will help on their perimeter defense, and he'll give them another floor spacer because he shoots the three at a high percentage. And KCP, arguably, and I don't have the numbers, but I'm going to put it out there, he's probably having his best shooting season from behind the arc. So he has not been the answer.
Yeah, no. By the way, if anybody doesn't remember, and this is just for fun, doesn't remember who was getting minutes on that 2012 to 2013 Timberwolves squad at guard, they had a guard rotation of JJ Barea, Ricky Rubio, Luke Ridnour, and Alexei Shved. Their forward rotation was AK-47, Dante Cunningham, Derek Williams, Nikola Pekovic, and Greg Steensma. And, you know, Kevin Love was, you know, getting minutes in there also. So he didn't play a lot that year. I think I can't remember if he just got drafted or he was hurt, but he only played a little over 600 minutes that year.
You name those other teammates, I think Kevin Love faked like he was hurt so he didn't have to play well.
Yeah, you know what? If I trotted out on the court and it's like, all right, Kevin Love, you're playing with Luke Ridnour, Alexei Shved, and Dante Cunningham. Yeah, you know what, Coach? You know, my hamstring's a little tight today.
Right.
I gotta get that checked out.
Exactly. Those were the dog days. I remember as Kevin Love got better, I think he did take them to the playoffs once or twice. Look, to when you named some of those players, because obviously I thought Luke Ridnour was a good basketball player early in his career. Obviously AK-47 was a terrific do everything kind of guy, especially when he was with Utah. But everybody you named that was somewhat of a name, everybody was well past their prime.
No, I completely agree. And you know what? You know, another debate, Mo, that I'm tired of seeing, and this one's more of an underrated debate, actually, but it annoys me because I've seen it too many times now that people try to make this argument, Mo, and I'm tired of it. And I'm here to set the record straight. I've seen too many people make this like argument that prime DeMarcus Cousins is better than prime Joel Embiid. I promise you that is nowhere near the case. It's getting to a point, Mo, where I'm starting to think that Boogie is almost getting a little overrated. Like, they're putting this guy in discussions that I don't think he has any business being in. Is prime Boogie good? Yes. I'm not saying that. Was he a perennial MVP candidate like a Joel Embiid? No, he was never at that level. So, what was Joel Embiid better at in his prime than Boogie Cousins? Basketball, except passing.
Right.
So, it's one of those things where I like Boogie, but my plea is, can we just stop trying to put him into conversations that, you know, he shouldn't be in? Because he's not in the conversation with guys like Embiid or Nikola Jokic. Like, that's not a conversation to be had.
No, I agree. Boogie was a bucket. I could argue that prime Boogie did a lot of things that Joel Embiid did. The only difference is prime Joel Embiid did it better. He did it better. He was more dominant. Prime Boogie, he never won an MVP. So they're actually not the same. He couldn't shoot. Now, he could shoot the three, but could he shoot it to the level of prime Embiid? Absolutely not. So, look, I don't want people to forget how talented DeMarcus Cousins was, but let's not get crazy. It's the crazy things we do when we start trying to drag a player down. They start saying crazy things. Like, somebody will tell you with a straight face, they'll say something like, I don't know if Jay Will played today in today's NBA, and I'm talking about Jason Williams for the Kings. Jay Will would dominate. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't dominate because he kind of broke this theory. He was one of the rare guys that was Caucasian that couldn't shoot. He was really unique that way. Like, he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat. He was that kind of shooter. And it's weird. It's weird because they show these highlights of him cutting cats up, and he has one of the greatest highlight reels I think I've ever seen. But if you actually watch the Kings play, he was a bad player. He couldn't shoot, couldn't guard anybody. When he was a young man, and he was a cone. Couldn't guard nobody. They targeted him all the time. It is not an accident that once they got rid of him for Mike Bibby, they got better because Mike Bibby was better at basketball, period. They do that all the time. We overrate guys sometimes, and I don't get it, but we do it a lot. DeMarcus Cousins, I don't think he's a terrific player, but to say him and Embiid are the same, that's insanity.
And then with another guy that I think another guy gets overrated too often, and I'm saying this because I 100% believe it, because there's some conversations that he gets thrown into, a little prematurely. Great player. Talking about Rajon Rondo. That's a player that he was a great player. He was a high IQ player. But when I look and I'm like, oh yeah, when I open up Twitter or I open up TikTok and I see it, and I literally saw somebody say this, yeah, Rondo is better than Steve Nash. Okay, let's pump the brakes. Or I go on Twitter, yeah, well, Rondo and Chris Paul debate. Like, what? Why is there even a debate to be had? Like, I think Rondo's a guy that also gets thrown into conversations that are just kind of above his weight. I'm all for like respecting players and loving what they've done for the game, but let's not start like elevating them out of absolute nowhere into conversations they should not be in at all.
I think Rondo was a terrific player, and he came out of nowhere and he worked himself into being an all-star and an all-NBA defender. But Steve Nash literally carried his team, and when their leading scorer went down, the Phoenix team, you know what he did? They got better. And that's not a knock against Amari. He just plugged Boris Diaw into Amari's spot, and they didn't miss a beat because of Steve Nash. Steve Nash got Joe Johnson paid, Sean Marion paid, Raja Bell paid. Like, he got two Richardson paid. Like, everybody got paid through Phoenix was because of Steve Nash. Yes, Rondo is a better defender than Steve Nash. He is absolutely not a better offensive player. It's not even close. Steve Nash, as a shooter, is better than any shooter on the Celtics team, on that Celtics team. That's how good a shooter he was. So I think we should stop being crazy. Rondo is not Chris Paul's equal. Rondo has a championship, and he's a big piece to that championship. But when he won that championship, he won an all-star. Let's not forget, Rondo became an all-star after he became a champion. He had 3 Hall of Fame players that still were playing at a high level. Give Chris Paul, Paul Pierce, and Kevin Garnett, and then you'd be like, well, Chris Paul's got 2 rings. Like, it's different. It's different. So I want to give Rondo credit, but when we talk about the top 5 point guards in NBA history, he ain't in the conversation. When we talk about the top 10 point guards in NBA history, he ain't in the conversation.
No, I completely agree, and yeah, I think what I will fight tooth and nail every day for like Steve Nash. I'm sorry, Genome. No, I just think he's somebody that just gets underrated because he unfortunately didn't win a title in the gauntlet that is known as the Western Conference in the 2000s.
Facts. Oh, I just saw that comment. Yes, Mike Bibby is kind of mid, but he's better than Jason Williams. He wasn't even mid. He had a go look at the numbers. Like, the numbers don't lie. When I say the man couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat, it's facts. He actually couldn't shoot. He didn't learn how to shoot till he was basically washed and he was on the Heat as a role player. Then he started making threes. But he was just not a good basketball player. He wasn't. If you put Jason Williams in today's NBA, he's on the bench. You know why he's on the bench? Because he couldn't shoot and he couldn't guard anybody.
Yeah, and I think what Mike Bibby did bring was simple. stability. That Kings team didn't need much at the point guard spot. They already had guys like Peja, Chris Webber, Vlad Divac. They didn't need a guy to come in and drop 30. They just
Right.
needed someone who's going to be consistent and stable. And Mike Bibby, he had some punch to his offensive game. Go rewatch that, playoff series against the Lakers, and you'll watch Mike Bibby killing Shaq in drop coverage.
Right.
Like
Or go-
all game.
Right. And go look and see how many big shots Mike Bibby made. Like you bring up a great point. They didn't run the offense through him. They had terrific passing big men. The offense was ran through Chris Webber or Vlade or Peja. Mike Bibby had one job: move without the ball and make open shots, and he did that at a high level, a level that Jason Williams could never do.
Did you see the news that apparently the Timberwolves are going to revisit the Kevin Durant trade attempt in the offseason? So apparently the Timberwolves and the Mavericks are interested, which is utterly hilarious to me, by the way.
I feel like KD's becoming like this almost soap opera character. Like, so now to be like KD and Anthony Edwards, and then it'll be, well, the expectations are with those two. The Western Conference is on notice. KD and Ant, look out, world. I don't think that would change anything in the West. I think that Kevin Durant is still playing at a high level, but I think his high level is very similar to Steph's high level. They, at this stage, out of the three players, when you go LeBron, KD, and Steph, the other two, Steph and KD, they need a lot more help. I'm just putting it out there. They're not what they were. They're not. And I think getting a 37-year-old Kevin Durant, that's going to look a lot better on paper or on 2K than it is in real life.
I'm just imagining those poor fans in Dallas, Mo. Like, imagine the start of last year, you had Luka and Kyrie. Imagine now you pretty much have nothing. You have Kyrie trying to recover from an Achilles injury, Anthony Davis who's banged up, and 37-year-old Anthony Davis. 37-year-old KD. Oh.
And I think that's setting KD up for getting hurt, maybe, right? Because let's be realistic. I love Kyrie, and I hope he can come back to being the Kyrie that we know. But that type of injury this late in the season, he's probably not going to be ready early in the regular season, right? That's facts. He's probably not going to be playing right away. So now you're talking about aging Anthony Davis, aging Kevin Durant. Who's the perimeter player that can kind of get those guys in their sets? Because Kyrie was the only guy on that team that could get his own shot or create for others. So Nico Harrison, if he's not fired, which he should be, if he's not fired, he's got his work cut out for him.
I like the idea of him going to the Timberwolves even better, Mo, because imagine like you're the Suns now and you have to sell yourself on this, right? Because in order to make the salaries work, the trade piece is obvious. It's just Julius Randle. So imagine just being a Suns fan and just getting sold on, big three this year, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Julius Randle. Like, I think there might be a lot of canceled season tickets at that point.
I don't even think it ends there. If imagine trying to sell Devin Booker on that. Yikes. Like you made a prediction, and I don't think that I think it's a great prediction, partner. But if that trade goes down, I think that prediction gets escalated a lot sooner.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think the Houston Rockets are the team to get Devin Booker because they have the one thing that the Phoenix Suns probably would want back in any trade, which is their future.
Their pick.
Yeah, the Rockets have all their picks. So honestly too, like I don't think Dallas should touch Kevin Durant. And I think if they try to trade him for anything lesser, like if they come back with only like Julius Randle and filler pieces in a trade, just at that point, just blow it up. Just let Bradley Beal average 30 again. And give him 37 possessions a game because it doesn't matter. It's all over at that point.
Blow it up. You're going to get valuable assets for D-Book. Look, Julius Randle has value. It just isn't as your second best player. If Julius Randle is your third or fourth best player, now you're working with something. And so I think you can get value out of him too. But Julius Randle, to me, as a big man, he's kind of the big man. He's the left-handed big man version of Bradley Beal. There's numbers, but they're just empty calories.
And then, of course, Mo, my thing I will say, because I see this everywhere, right? It's, the Suns are going to fire Mike Budenholzer. Mike Budenholzer's going to go. Dog, what about James Jones, man?
Thank you.
Why does he get a pass? Like, what has he done to sit there and go, got to keep James, man? He's really built. What has he built? Like, he did great up until 2021, but they lost the finals, and they're like common sense at that point too.
How do you do that? How do you do that? How do you lose in the finals? And you didn't get blown out. It was a competitive finals, but you lose in the finals and you go, you know what? There's something wrong with this team. It's not good enough. Let's get rid of these young developing players. Let's get rid of Bridges. Let's get rid of Cam Johnson. We don't need this talent around. What we need? We need a 35, 36-year-old Kevin Durant. We need to get we need to trade away our future to get KD. Oh, but you don't have enough, so we got to add something to KD and Bill. Our book. We got to get a third guy. We're gonna make it a big three. We're gonna get Bradley Beal. Like, yeah. Why? Like it isn't a Nico Harrison thing because Nico did it in one horrible move, but to a lesser degree, James Jones crippled the Suns over a period of years. Nico did it in one full swipe, killed the Mavs, just gutted them. Like it's not just the worst trade, the domino effect that it had. AD tries to go out, and I think he overextended himself. He gets hurt, tears the abdominal. He gone. Kyrie has to keep them afloat. What happened? Kyrie was starting to play the most minutes in the league by keeping them afloat. He ends up tearing an ACL. Gafford is out. Lively is out. Like, to me, if you're the Mavs, you don't want to say this, but let's keep it a buck. If Nico wants to keep his job, I kind of think they need to tank.
Yeah, they need a blue chip prospect. They need like a Cooper Flag or somebody.
Oh
like,
my God.
You have 2 years to tank. Like, after that, all your picks are gone from 2027 to 2030. Actually, you have a chance for your pick in 2027, but you have to get the first or second pick in the draft. 3 and under, it goes to Charlotte. So
I'm curious, partner, real quick. If you had one destination that you think Cooper Flag would be a perfect fit, where would that be?
Oh, I have such a cop-out answer, but like
I do too, because I'm going to say San Antonio.
Yep, that was my first thought.
Yeah. I'm going to say San Antonio. I'm like, you're going to have Wemby, Cooper Flag, and Castle as your building blocks. Oh, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem.
And do you know what they also have? Oh my Lord. They also have the 2030 Dallas Mavericks first, which has insane value right now. So they could, also use that if they wanted to go out and get themselves another elite piece.
Nico Harrison strikes again.
Hey, you know what? What do you think about this idea? If I'm San Antonio, call the Dallas Mavericks. Hey, we'll take AD for your 2030 first back.
Knowing Nico, let's do it tonight. Let's make it. Let's do it tonight. Look, the Mavs are in bad shape, and for this season, and you're right. They have a small window that they can keep those picks, but they need to be somewhere they need to lose enough to where they can be inside that lottery.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think the fun one is, just flagged the Spurs and a big four with a starting lineup with just De'Aaron Fox, Stephon Castle, Cooper Flag, Victor Wembanyama, and whoever else you want to throw at the 4 or 5 next to him. That's just pure insanity to think about. The thing with Flag and what makes it so tough is he has a skill set that theoretically will fit pretty much anywhere. Like, he has a very just versatile skill set. So I would love to see him just get thrown into a good situation right away. I'd love to see him go to San Antonio. I'd love to see him go to, maybe the Thunder get lucky. But actually, no, because that first that pick would go to Philadelphia. It's 1 through 6 protected. So
Philly would get lucky.
Philly actually would be another fun one.
But Cooper Flag, I like that. Tyrese Maxey, I like that pairing. I don't know if I want to. I don't want Cooper Flag and Joel Embiid to ever even have a conversation. If I get Cooper Flag, it's bye Joel. I think it should be bye Joel Embiid, no matter who I get. I can get Cooper Flag, John Flag, Billy Flag. Joel Embiid he got to go. He got to go.
It's so tough when it comes to Embiid, right? Just because, like, you can trade him this offseason, obviously, but, like, you're also kind of trading him at his lowest. But also, when it comes to Joel Embiid, like, it almost feels like you might have to do that because, like, is his knee just cooked? It's almost better to, like, trade him, before the official diagnosis that his knee is cooked. But he's just such a hard player because you think, like, oh, if he gets on the court and somewhat healthy again, he can play at an MVP level or close to it,
right.
Raises trade value. But also, I don't think that level's there anymore. Like, I'm sure we'll be there in spurts, but I think, we're witnessing, I think that 2023, I think we just kind of witnessed the end of Joel Embiid's, prime, which is one of those that unfortunately just ended early because of injury.
And what did we say a long time ago? Because of his injury history, because of his lack of commitment to conditioning himself, we said Joel Embiid will not have a long career at a high level. He will not age well. We said that. It is the worst kept secret in the NBA. I think a lot of guys know that. And here he is now. Even when he played this year, Brett, you remember there was a time at his peak, Joel Embiid wasn't just a great scorer. He was a really good, terrific defender, a rim protector. The guy that you saw this season was laboring, barely can get up and down the floor, couldn't move at all in space. And he said, if I have the surgery that I think I have to have, he's going to miss all next year. Like, what do you do with that? So he's going to be gone all next year, which means he come back the following season. He'll be 32. What will be the value of that guy?
Yeah, then that's the difficult part. Like, at this point, it's almost just best to kind of, unfortunately cut bait. Because I know it's, they're talking about his ACL, MCL, his meniscus there. They're like, oh, I've seen some people say, oh, just, trim some more of the meniscus out of Joel Embiid's knee. Well, they've already, like, messed with his knee so much and just took so much out of there that, there is a limit to how much muscle is there, how much of the meniscus is there. There is a limit. At this point, I don't really think there's anything really left. Like, it's probably just bone rubbing against bone, and that's a huge issue.
100%, partner. You are spot on. He's bone on bone now. There ain't nothing to add to it. Now they're talking about doing a full-on if you reconstruct someone's knee, you remember how much time Lonzo Ball missed. He missed 2 years, right? 2 full years. And he finally got back, and he's still not quite right. Joel Embiid is going to be in the same situation, except he carries around 290 pounds on that kind of knee. Look, I don't wish that on anybody. I'm an NBA fan, and I'm not a Sixer fan, but I've admired his talent, his skill. I hope Joel Embiid can have another 4 or 5 years at a high level. But if he has to go through this procedure, you will never see the peak or anything close to the peak version of Joel Embiid again.
I almost think if he has to go through this procedure mode to its fullest, I almost think that he should consider retiring at some point. And it's unfortunate to think that way because I love watching Embiid play, but at some point you have to think about life after basketball.
Oh, I agree.
And, just messing up your knee, trying to, get it reconstructed to push through it again. What if it gets hurt again? Like, there's so many things that could just absolutely go wrong that, I hope Embiid comes back. I hope he plays it. I hope he wins another MVP. Like, I'm rooting for him 100%.
I'm with you.
But at some point, like, I think he's got to think about maybe life outside of basketball if it's really worth it to try to push through on this knee, whether it's, maybe you don't have to reconstruct it, but it's just kind of arthritic at this point or whatever's wrong with it. Like I said, I love you, Embiid, but like at some point, I just think that he's just got to ask himself, is it worth it?
And if he doesn't have the procedure, like you said, it's going to always be an issue going forward. So you're looking at a player that if he is playing 50 games a year, maybe 50, 55 games. And that's if he doesn't get injured, right? I'm just talking about best case scenario. If he doesn't have to miss significant time, he's probably never going to play 65, anything close to 65 games again. I do like your bringing up the part about life after the sport and life after the NBA and how you're the rest of your life. To me, I have to assume that Joel Embiid is thinking about that right now. He's talking to his wife and other members of his family and thinking about, look, I've made a lot of money. I can walk away now and we can live a fine life. I don't know what drives him, to be honest with you. And I'm not trying to be funny. Look, some guys are just maniacal competitors. That's like, there's no question I'm coming back. I'm going to be back. I don't know if he's made of that stuff. But I am with you. I'm wishing for the best. I'm wishing that he gets with a team of doctors and they find out a treatment plan to where he can avoid surgery and still be a very good basketball player.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, that's all the topics I had for us today. Mo, did anything else you wanted to add in, sir?
No, we went over a lot. I guess we both went on little mini rants, but it's fun. It's all fun. It's all, look, hey, I don't want anybody, and I mean anybody that's watching us or listening to us right now think that for 1 minute that Mo doesn't love everything about white chocolate. I don't, but I don't want you to think that. I don't. I really don't. You say Bibby's mid. He's so overrated. So overrated. Like you ever watch the N1 tour? Those are some terrific, gifted one-on-one players, street ball players. I think if he got better, he might be as good as the professor, but I don't think he is. Anyway, but otherwise, I appreciate everybody. Gene, Key, Jory, everybody that came in, checked out the show, got in the chat. Brett and I appreciate you guys. Check us out again next week. Thank you so much. Make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. And make sure you check out Brett and I, because this is when we do our double-double. We double up, and we're doing the morning show tomorrow. Appreciate you guys.
Actually, I think we can say that this week we're doing a triple-double because you can check us out on the morning show. Then tomorrow night you can check us out on And1, which had to get pushed. Huh?
No, I'm saying
Meaty Boys.
I love it. See, my partner had to remind me. These are complete players. Triple-double. And we don't even ask to renegotiate or nothing. Nothing. We're not malcontents. We're team players. Anyway, make sure you check out all the great content we have at Wire to Wire Network. Wire to Wire Network. Appreciate you.
No, absolutely. And, some fun things for Meaty Boys tomorrow. We'll be talking about the Elimination Chamber, which will go down in history. I am also, and I wanted to throw this out there, right now, I'm finalizing a bracket for a fun little tournament. I have all the WrestleMania main events in there. And we're going to run a fun little tournament to decide which main event was the greatest WrestleMania main event of all time. So make sure to check that out tomorrow on the Meaty Boys podcast. Check us out tomorrow at 8 a.m. Central on the morning show. We thank you guys so much for joining us, and we hope to see you tomorrow and next week.
Thank you for tuning in to the And One podcast. If you like our content, you can find more on the Wire to Wire Podcast Network on YouTube, Facebook, and Spotify. Want more And One? Find it on Wire to Wire. Like and share our Facebook page and join the And One Discord. Grab the link to join from our Facebook. Thank you for tuning in and have a wonderful day.